welcome back to the channel. So I continue to tweak this thing. I went home and continued to mess around with pickup heights with the headphones on, but I got in here today and I think I made the most progress as far as getting the heights right. I used Fender measurements, Gibson measurements. I looked up Rickenbacker measurements as far as like pickup height goes, and I decided after trying a couple different ones that I think the best path was just to, you know, do it by ear and not worry about trying to set up numbers. I can measure the numbers, you know, when I'm done and see what the final numbers are, and I'll give you those. But I think the best way to do it is by ear. And it looks like it's coming in around 3 millimeters away on the bridge, and pretty much the same thing on the neck. I took the neck all the way down flush, and I took the bridge all the way down flush, mainly because after going back home and listening to the video, I was listening to mainly the one that I think compared better, because what I'm trying to do with this guitar is have like a Gibson tone, because when I have my Strat, which is like my main guitar, I noticed when I was playing with Mark, he had his Telecaster, and we just sounded like the same guitar. So when he's got the Telecaster, I want to have this. And when he has the his Charvel, I'll have my Fender Strat. So we'll always have humbucker, single coil, or it could be both single coil, but two different types of guitars. And this one, you know, fulfills that requirement. It's like a different type of sound from either his Charvel or from his Tele or whatever else. He's got tons of guitars, so you know, it just depends on what he decides to do. But this one is so varied that it gives you that other tone, and it kind of serves the purpose of a Gibson. And he doesn't play Gibsons typically, so unless he's playing my Les Paul. He used to do that a bit. So this gives us that other tone. But from listening to the Les Paul Custom, I kind of wanted to get it into that ballpark. And friend of the channel, Jason Graves, noticed that the clarity for the Les Paul is better, and I think that's because, man, those pickups are those Tim Shaw PAFs, which I love. And once I pulled the original wiring, I think a couple of the pots started to go, and I think they might have been 300K pots. I'm not remembering exactly, but those might have been 300K pots, and which happens sometimes with Les Pauls in the 80s especially. So I pulled I originally tried different pickups and then realized that was, you know, stupid, and that it was actually the wiring style. I went from modern to 50s wiring. Tim at American Guitar Boutique talked me into that, and then when I heard the difference, I think we even put the extra caps in there to do like a low cut, you know, where you get with a high stay when you turn the tone knob. You put an extra cap in there to keep that from rolling off on you, so it gets dull when you turn it down. And with 50s wiring, you can turn it all the way down and still maintain clarity. The only difference with 50s wiring that some people don't like is it integrates your tone controls into it, so you everything sort of is give and take as opposed to being separated. So everything sort of has an effect on each other. But for me, with everything cranked up wide open, which is what I usually do with that Les Paul, unless I roll off the neck tone to get that thick kind of like woman tone vibe, I usually have it wide open, and I find the 50s wiring gives you that clarity that he was noticing. So I don't think we're going to get quite to this point, you know, it might not sound as pure as that Les Paul did, but I used the Les Paul to the sound of that and the way I had the pickup heights and just the perfection of that distorted tone. I think I can get closer to that by dropping these down a little bit. So I tried to bring it all the way down, because what I noticed on this has a really good sound and very, you know, varied sound. It sounds fantastic, but I think that the pickups were too high, which was giving kind of a nasty edge to the distortion. When you had it cranked, there was like an extra, because this is kind of has like a guitar pedal in it, you know. On each pot there is a chip with a circuit board, and there's a circuit board in here, and you can recreate these electronics, you know, with Artec electronics. I found out what you have to do. There's a circuit board by Artec for each kind of effect that this thing will do, so you can sort of recreate this. If the electronics go bad, I could try to fix the board or recreate those with Artec electronics. I find that fascinating. But let me just show you what I'm talking about. What I'm looking for is I want to eliminate that grain. Now, if I wanted like the nastiest tone on planet Earth, like a Melvin's type of just gnarly noise rock tone, I could lift these babies up and have that for days. Or you could even make this guitar a specialty guitar with just made weird sounds. But I would like for it to sound somewhere in that, the range of that Les Paul. And also kind of like in the range of what my Strat can do, just so it's versatile and it sounds good, not nasty. And I think that the top end of the distortion was just a little bit, nasty sounding. So I want to clean that up and just make it more euphonic. So here's what I've got. I've got it in the bridge. I've got the bridge and the neck. They seem like they're matching as far as volume goes. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to crank it all the way up. I'll start with the tone knob on 5, so it's not too bright. This should be like a less polished type tone. And it's just, I took this down a bit just so it wouldn't be so like nasty on top. Single coil distortion. So let me lift it up and just kind of show you what I'm trying to avoid. It's just the kind of lawnmower thing that happens on the top. So I think I can get my spot back here. If I just sort of go up a little bit, it should be able to hear that noise that I'm talking about. So I just cranked it up like another 1.5 millimeters or so. Let's see what that sounds like. Back on 5 on tone knob, all the way on 10. So it sounds okay, but you can hear that little nastiness on top. It's like, and I want to dial that out and get it where it's as nasty as it can be, but you don't get that kind of tin can sound on the top. So now I just went down about halfway. Let's see what happens now. Here's the tone at 10. Tone. Okay, now I'm going to try to back it off just a tiny bit more and see if that's the sweet spot, because that sounds nice and it doesn't have the ratty tone, but like I said, I still want as much dynamite as I can get, but I just don't want it to get nasty. I think that's the spot. That's where the clarity is that Jason was hearing with those other pickups. If you push too hard, it goes to that nasty point, which someone could prefer, but I'm looking for like a euphonic tone. Here's with it on 10, the tone. Okay, now, neck pickup. Let's double check the neck pickup. So now I think the bridge is roaring without that nasty lawnmower tone on top. Like, so here we go. I'll switch to the neck and see if the volume, the levels are good, back and forth. tiny bit to make sure we're matching with volume levels. I don't want it to be a, you know, on my, some of my Les Pauls that I've played over the years, they can get the neck pickup can be way quieter and way thicker, making it almost unusable. So I want to avoid that, of course. Okay, now they feel like they're the same volume level. The neck's just more like thicker, boom, boom, and the bridge is zang, zang. But same volume level, pretty much. Maybe a little different. Let's hear it again. Neck pickup. Bridge. I think pickup height is incredibly important, and a lot of times I hear and see guys talking about switching out pickups that haven't even tried lifting their heights up and down. Sometimes you can really bring a pickup to life, and suddenly it's a good sounding pickup. So I think I made some improvements. I'll continue to tweak, but right now I've got it. Let's see here. I might not be able to see in here. It's kind of dark. But when I've got my finger on the last fret, which is 24 on this particular guitar, I'm at about 3 millimeters on the bridge, and about 3 millimeters on the neck. So you avoid stratitis, remember, because this is a single coil. So this neck, you don't want these up too high on a single coil. There might be something different because remember, I'm losing 20 dB of noise with this active system. So you cut 20 dB of what you would hear from passive pickups. But I think I'm headed in the right direction on height, because you can judge at home and let me know in the comments. But I think I got rid of that nasty top end and brought it more down to like what you would hear out of like a Les Paul, as opposed to like that super gnarly tone that was happening. It sounded like almost like a rat pedal. All right, next time.